Mindset discipline. 9 powerful ways to cultivate extreme self-discipline. Self-improvement. How to work on yourself and become better. Introduction. This is not another feel-good self-help audiobook. This isn't where I hand you a few shallow tips and pat you on the back. You're not here for that. You're here because some part of you, quiet or screaming, knows you're not where you could be. You feel it. You've wasted time. You've let days blur into months, and somehow you got lost in the noise. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to get you back. To remind you of what you already know. You have more in you. And the only way forward is work. Not hustle culture nonsense. Not busy work. Real work. The kind that starts inside your own mind. See, self-improvement isn't a hashtag. It's not reading 10 books and forgetting 9 of them. It's the decision to stop living on autopilot. To stop numbing out. To stop settling. It's learning how to get in the ring with your own resistance, your own excuses, and win. You don't need a guru. You don't need another course. You need a system, a mindset, a reason, and the guts to keep going when no one's watching. This audiobook is your blueprint. 10 chapters, 30 pages, each one a punch, a push, a nudge, a call. You'll hear stories that sting, questions that burn, and ideas that stick. You'll finish each chapter feeling stronger than when you started, because that's the point. We begin with the first step. The one most people never take, choosing to change. Welcome to your own comeback. Chapter 1. The decision that changes everything. It always starts with a choice. Not a big one. Not the kind with fireworks or applause. It's quiet, simple, almost forgettable. But it's the kind that shifts your life. You wake up one day and realize, this isn't working. Not just your schedule, not just your job, you. Something about how you think, how you move, how you talk to yourself. It's off. You know it. Most people feel that moment and brush it off. They say, I'm just tired, or this week's been rough, or maybe next month. And that's how they lose a decade. But then there's you. You're still listening. You're still here. That means something. Here's the truth. Self-improvement doesn't begin with strategy. It doesn't start with a list or a routine. It starts with a decision to stop bullshitting yourself. You stop pretending you don't care. You stop acting like you've got all the time in the world. You stop telling yourself, I'll fix this later. Later is a lie. Later is where dreams go to die. What you need is right now, right here, this moment, this choice. I'm done living like this. I want better. You don't have to know the next 100 steps. You only need to know the next one. And it's this. Own it. Own your mess, your chaos, your procrastination, your fear. No more hiding behind excuses. No more waiting for motivation. You want to change. Then change something. Stephen Pressfield talks about resistance like it's a living thing. A beast. A shadow. He's right. It's real. Every time you try to better yourself, resistance shows up. It tells you you're not ready, that you're too tired, too far behind, that you'll fail anyway. So what do? You push back. You show up anyway. You don't wait for confidence, you earn it, one action at a time. You go for the walk. You make the call. You turn off the distraction. And then you do it again tomorrow. The first page of your new life isn't written in comfort. It's written in sweat, in effort, in silence. It's what you do when no one's clapping. This chapter isn't about setting goals. It's about getting honest. The man or woman you want to become isn't somewhere out there. They're buried underneath the habits you haven't broken yet. They're already inside you, just waiting for you to stop making excuses. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. If I don't change now, what will the next 5 years look like? Say it out loud, let it hit, and then say this: I'm ready. Because until you're truly ready, nothing else matters. Not the tips, not the hacks, not the audiobook. But once you are ready, there's no force on earth that can stop you. Most people want a plan. They think if they get the steps just right, if they map out the year, the quarter, the month, they'll win. But plans are fragile. They crumble the moment life hits you sideways. What matters more than any plan is your practice, your discipline, your consistency. The little unglamorous things you do every damn day, even when you don't feel like it. Pressfield calls this turning pro. Turning pro doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you show up, no matter what. It means you stop waiting for inspiration and start moving like someone with a mission. You want to write a book? Don't talk about it. Sit down, open a blank document, and write 100 words. You want to get in shape? Don't spend 3 hours on YouTube watching workouts. Drop to the ground and do 10 push-ups. Now, the pro doesn't ask, do I feel like it today? The pro acts. The amateur waits. Here's the lie most people believe: when I'm ready, I'll start. Wrong. You start, and that's what makes you ready. Improvement is momentum. It's built in motion. It doesn't show up fully formed. You earn it, minute by minute. You know how you change your life. You pick a habit, and you make it sacred. Wake up early. Sacred. Write every morning. Sacred. 10-minute walks after dinner. Sacred. Protect your practice like your future depends on it, because it does. Discipline isn't punishment. It's freedom. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from regret. Freedom from the version of you that always breaks promises to yourself. Every time you follow through, you're telling your brain, I can trust me. That's power. That's momentum. But listen, there will be days you fall short. Days you miss. Days you break the chain. Don't make it mean more than it does. Get up. Reset. Begin again. Consistency isn't perfection. It's persistence. If today is day 1, great. If it's day 27 and you slipped, also great. The only day that counts is the one you're living now. So stop planning the perfect routine. Stop waiting for the motivation to strike. Start building the kind of practice you can show up for when you're tired, uninspired, and sick of your own voice. Because on those days, when you do it anyway, you're not just improving, you're transforming. Let's get this straight. You're not always going to feel like showing up. In fact, most of the time, you'll feel like quitting. That voice will creep in. You're too late. You're not good enough. What's the point? Let it talk. Let it scream. Let it beg. And then do the thing anyway. Because this journey, it's not about doing the work when everything's perfect. It's about doing the work when it's hard, when you're tired, when your confidence is gone. Anyone can post about the grind when they're winning. But real self-improvement, the kind that actually changes your life, happens when you show up broken. You show up confused, scared, behind, and still you don't flinch. Here's the truth. You don't need to be healed to begin. You begin, and through the doing, you heal. You evolve in the fire, not before it. This is not the version of you who has it all figured out. This is the you who's tired of being tired. The you who's sick of talking, ready to move. So move. There is no perfect mindset. There is no perfect energy. There is only you, deciding that even on your worst day, you're worth the effort. Do it messy. Do it half scared. Do it with doubt, sitting heavy on your chest. Just don't do nothing, because every time you show up, even when you feel like shit, you're telling yourself, I'm the kind of person who follows through. That builds something, not just results but identity. You start becoming someone else. Not overnight, not in some dramatic movie moment. Quietly, daily, in the trenches of your own effort. And guess what? That identity, it sticks. Not because you're flawless, but because you're relentless. So if today is rough, good. If you feel broken, good. It means you're in the middle of it. It means this chapter isn't just words, it's real. Now here's what I want you to do. Whatever you promised yourself, go do it now, not later. Not when it's easier. Right now. Start broken. Start unsure. Just start. Because in the end, the only difference between the person you are and the person you want to be is that the future you never stopped showing up, stopped showing. We live in a world built to distract you. Scroll, swipe, click, repeat. Endless input. No clarity. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing too little of what actually matters. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of what fights for your attention, useless, empty, junk food for the brain. You think you're staying informed, you're really just spinning your wheels. You think you're being social, you're really just numbing the discomfort of your own silence. Distraction is the enemy of growth, because growth requires presence, focus, stillness. And in a world screaming for your eyes and ears, stillness is a rebellion. Let's not romanticize it. It's hard to focus when your phone's lighting up, when the world is buzzing, when your thoughts are loud. But that's why it matters. Your attention is your life. Where you put it determines who you become. You want to improve. You want real change. Start by asking, what am I feeding my mind every day? Are you letting opinions become your truth? Are you mistaking activity for progress? Are you letting urgency steal your direction? You need to start filtering. Ruthlessly. Cut out anything that doesn't serve the person you're becoming. That includes mindless apps, toxic people, pointless arguments, and just in case, clean your mental diet like your future depends on it, because it does. And here's the shift. Once you kill the noise, you'll start hearing something else. A whisper. It's quiet at first, almost awkward. It's you, the real you. The one who has ideas, intuition, vision, but it only speaks in silence. So give yourself that silence. Carve it out. Make it non-negotiable. 15 minutes in the morning. No phone, no music, no input. Just you and a blank notebook. Ask yourself, what do I really want today? What matters now? It'll feel weird. Good. That means it's working. Over time, the whisper gets louder. You start trusting it. And you stop outsourcing your clarity to strangers and algorithms. This chapter is about reclaiming your mind. It's about subtracting the junk so the truth can surface. You already have the answers. You've just been too noisy to hear them. Let's get one thing straight. Every time you sit down to do something meaningful, something will try to stop you. Your phone will buzz. A notification will pop up. A sudden urge to clean the kitchen will hit like a freight train. That's not coincidence. That's resistance. It doesn't come with fangs or drama. It comes dressed as comfort, disguised as just 5 minutes. Focus is war. A silent, invisible war that plays out in milliseconds. And if you don't train for it, you lose. Every time. But here's the key. The enemy isn't just outside you, it's inside. It's that inner twitch, the moment your brain hits friction and decides it would rather feel entertained than accomplished. You want to master your life, master your attention, because attention is where energy goes, and where energy goes, results follow. The modern world isn't built for deep work. It's built to scatter you, to make you forget what matters, to keep you scrolling until your goals are just a memory, buried beneath likes and outrage and endless content. So what do? You go on offense. You set boundaries like your peace depends on it. You use do not disturb like it's armor. You block apps. You schedule your time. You guard your morning like a soldier. Because the first hour of your day, that's sacred. What you do with it shapes your mindset, your choices, your direction. Start it with chaos, you carry chaos. Start it with purpose, you carry momentum. This isn't about becoming some monk or robot. It's about taking back control from a world that profits off your distraction. It's about becoming the kind of person who can say, "This matters more," and mean it. And don't wait to feel motivated. That's the amateur move. The pro knows that motivation follows action, not the other way around. Here's a trick. When you want to quit, count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move, act, begin, interrupt the pattern, win the moment. That's how focus is built. One stolen moment of control at a time. Because if you win enough of those, you change the game. Not just for a day, but for good. Here's a secret they don't tell you. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. Most people aren't overwhelmed because they're doing too much. They're overwhelmed because they're doing too many things that don't move the needle. The solution: start thinking like an archer. One target, one arrow, full pull, laser focus, maximum impact. You wake up each day with 100 units of energy. Every decision, every tab open, every little task drains you. So if you're not careful, you'll spend all your energy on noise and have nothing left for what really matters. This is where self-improvement becomes real. You don't just grind harder. You get smarter. You become intentional, deliberate, focused. You begin your day with the end in mind. What is the one thing that if I complete it today, will move my life forward? Just one. Not 5. Not a checklist of busy work. One powerful, uncomfortable, important task. Do it first. Do it fast. Do it without apology. You win the day in the first 2 hours. Everything after that is bonus. That's how momentum is built. That's how clarity becomes confidence. But let's go deeper. This isn't just about productivity. It's about identity. Every day you show up for what matters. You're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Not the person who talks about change. The person who lives it. That kind of focus scares people. It strips away the illusion of progress and forces you to face the truth. Are you working on what matters, or just staying busy to avoid the real work? If that question hits, good. It means you're waking up. Because at the core of every high performer, every transformed life, every fulfilled human, is a deep commitment to protecting their time like it's sacred. And here's the twist. When you win your day, you don't just get more done. You sleep better. You breathe deeper. You walk through life with less guilt and more fire. You start trusting yourself. So build the muscle, cut the noise, pick your one thing, and attack it with everything you've got. Don't just survive your day. Win it. Chapter 3. Nobody's coming to save you. Let's rip the bandage off. There is no rescue mission, no mentor riding in on a horse, No magical opportunity falling from the sky. This is on you. It's not fair. It's not always your fault. But it is your responsibility. That might sting at first, because we've been sold a lie, that if we just wait long enough, if we suffer hard enough, something or someone will fix it for us. But that day doesn't come, and when it finally sinks in, you have two choices: blame the world, or build yourself into someone who doesn't need saving. This chapter is about ownership. Brutal, honest, no excuse ownership. The kind that shifts the trajectory of your life, because you stop looking outward for the fix and start turning inward for the answers. Yes, things happen to you. Yes, life hit hard. Yes, people failed you. But none of that can dictate what you do next, unless you let it. Ownership isn't about shame, it's about power. Because when you own your life, you own your future. So start there. Own your habits. Own your mornings. Own your reactions. Own your goals. Even if they're messy. Even if they're half-formed and buried under fear. Especially then. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a decision. You need to look in the mirror and say, I'm the one. This is mine to fix. And here's the beautiful part. Once you stop waiting for someone else to change your life, you become dangerous. Because now, you move different. You take responsibility for your time, your energy, your health, your mindset. You stop outsourcing your value to bosses, followers, or relationships. You stop needing validation and start chasing growth. It doesn't mean you do it alone. It means you stop waiting and start building. It means you stop begging for permission and start moving with purpose. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. You walk into the world no longer asking, will someone help me? You walk in knowing, no one's coming, and I'm still going to win. That's the foundation. That's the mindset. That's step one of becoming unstoppable. There's a moment in every journey when you have to face yourself. No filters, no story, no spin, just you and the truth. This isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. Because until you're honest about where you really are, you can't get to where you want to be. You can lie to the world, but the mirror, it never lies. So here's the challenge. Stand in front of it, not just physically, but emotionally. Ask the hard questions, and don't flinch. Am I showing up for myself? Am I avoiding the hard things? Am I consistent, or just motivated when it's easy? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary, because self-deception is comfortable. Progress isn't. You've got to call yourself out, gently but firmly, with love but with standards. Because here's the reality. You're not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because you've accepted a version of yourself that's less than who you really are. That ends here. Right now, start tracking your choices. What are you saying yes to that drains you? What are you avoiding that could actually change everything? Start writing it down. Not for guilt, for data. You can't improve what you don't measure. And when you catch yourself slipping, don't spiral. Don't shame. Just redirect. You're not looking for perfection. You're building awareness. That awareness becomes action. That action becomes identity. And that identity, that's where the magic lives. Look, you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to start noticing, start asking, start owning. Because when you meet your reflection with courage, when you stop performing and start being, you unlock something real. You don't need another mask. You need momentum, and it starts with the truth. Every time you look in the mirror and say, I've got work to do, you grow. Not because you're behind, but because you finally see the path forward. That's power. That's progress. That's where everything changes. Every day, there's a negotiation happening in your head. You don't always hear it, but it's there. One voice says, let's go. The other says, not today. And most people, they live their whole life giving the second voice the final word. But that ends here. You don't get to become who you're meant to be if you keep treating your potential like it's optional. You don't get to unlock greatness if you keep asking for permission to be consistent. You've got to stop making deals with your lesser self. Every time you say, just 5 more minutes. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow. Every time you let your mood dictate your movement, you're selling out. Cheap. It's time to raise the price of admission, to hold the line, to stop negotiating with weakness like it gets a vote. Because here's the truth. The version of you that achieves, creates, builds, leads, that version doesn't bargain. They decide, and then they do. The distance between who you are and who you could be. It's not talent, it's not resources, it's standards. So ask yourself right now, where have I been too soft on myself? Where have I let feelings run the show? Where have I lowered the bar because it was easier? And then raise it. Raise it even when it's uncomfortable. Raise it when no one's watching. Raise it when you don't feel like it. Especially then. That's when it counts. Because self-respect isn't built on comfort. It's built on discipline. On doing what you said you'd do, long after the excitement fades. You want to feel proud of yourself. Stop being casual with your effort. Start treating your time, energy and goals like they matter. Because they do. And know you won't always hit the mark. You'll miss. You'll fall short. But when you keep showing up, without making excuses, without bargaining with laziness, you become someone new, someone locked in, someone undeniable, someone who doesn't need hype or applause, just a reason. And if you're still listening, that means your reason is already alive. Feed it, honor it, let it drive every step from here forward. No more deals, no more delay. You're not waiting to become the person you want to be. You're already becoming them right now. Chapter 4. The Myth of Motivation. Let's kill another lie. Motivation is not the answer. It's a feeling. It comes and goes like the weather. And if your life depends on it, you're already losing. Motivation is great. For the first rep. For the first morning. For the first burst of energy. But after that? After the dopamine fades, after the novelty wears off, you're left with discipline. And discipline isn't sexy. It's not exciting. It doesn't care if you're tired or bored or not in the mood. Discipline just shows up. Here's the thing most people never learn. You don't need to feel like doing it to do it. You need a standard, not a spark. Because improvement, it's not built in the moments when you're fired up. It's built in the ones when you're not. And you move anyway. And yes, that feels mechanical at first. But it's not cold. It's commitment. It's a promise to yourself that your emotions don't get to hijack your growth. You wake up tired. You still move. You feel flat. You still create. You're uninspired. You still keep the promise. Because the version of you who's consistent, even when it sucks, that version wins. Every time. And here's the bonus. No one talks about. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You take the step. You get the win. You feel momentum. That's when the fire comes. That's when you remember who you are. But you have to earn that moment through effort, not emotion. So if you're waiting to feel ready, stop. If you're waiting for the stars to align, stop. If you're waiting for perfect conditions, perfect energy, perfect clarity, stop. Start with what you've got, right now. Half full, half afraid, half awake. Doesn't matter. Because what matters more than mood is movement. And once you learn how to act without needing motivation, you become unstoppable. You stop hoping. You start doing. And that shift, that's what builds a life. There's a trap smart people fall into. They overthink. They research, plan, prepare, endlessly. And they convince themselves they're making progress. But really, they're just hiding. Behind study. Behind study. Behind the safety of not starting. It's analysis paralysis. And it kills more dreams than failure ever will. Let's be clear. Clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from it. You don't find your path by thinking about it. You find it by walking, stumbling, adjusting, and moving forward. Because here's the secret. You can't plan your way to confidence. You build it by doing. By taking messy, imperfect, uncomfortable steps. You write the rough draft. You send the email. You go to the gym and do the bare minimum. And yeah, it's awkward. You'll feel like you don't know what you're doing. You'll feel exposed, behind, uncertain. But that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're in it. That's where the real work lives. Perfectionism is just fear in disguise. It tells you you're not ready, that it needs to be better, that you need just one more thing before you begin. Ignore it. Start anyway. Because done is always better than perfect. And progress always beats theory. You know what builds momentum? Finishing something. Not dreaming about it. Not endlessly tweaking it. Completing it. Shipping it. Posting it. Publishing it. Hitting send. And guess what? You'll get feedback. You'll learn faster than any book or course could teach you. You'll sharpen your instincts. You'll start to trust yourself. And that trust becomes your fuel. So the next time your brain wants to overanalyze, cut it off. Say, what's the next small action I can take right now? Then do it. No delay. No debate. That's how lives change. One action. One decision. One imperfect move at a time. Here's what most people miss. Talent is overrated. Inspiration fades. Luck is inconsistent. But work wins. Every time. The person who shows up, day after day, outlasts the one who shows up when they feel inspired. The one who moves forward while others are still thinking about it, wins. Not because they're better, because they're relentless. Let's kill the fantasy. There is no secret. There is no hack. There is only you, and what you're willing to do, consistently, when it's not exciting. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. That's what creates results, instead of regret. And here's the hard truth. Most people will never make it because they want the reward without the repetition. They want the outcome without the sweat, the credit without the consistency. But you're still here. You're still moving. That means you're different. You understand the rule. Put in the reps. Show up. Even when it's quiet. Even when no one's watching. Even when the voice in your head says it's not working. Because it is working. Every page you write. Every workout you finish. Every habit you repeat. It stacks. It compounds. It builds something you can't fake. Identity. You become the kind of person who follows through, who trusts the process, who doesn't just talk about change, but lives it. And it doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't look like a movie montage. It looks like repetition. It looks like boredom. It looks like effort when you'd rather rest. But on the other side, freedom, confidence, power. The power of knowing you don't need tricks or tips. Just time and effort. So if it's slow, good. If it's hard, good. If it's lonely, even better. Because that means you're doing what most people won't. And in the end, that's what builds the life they'll wish they had. Let them scroll. Let them talk. You're building. Chapter 5. Discipline is the shortcut. Everyone's looking for the shortcut. The edge. The hack. They want the cheat code to get results faster. Here it is. Ready? Discipline. That's it. That's the entire playbook. It's not flashy. It's not exciting. But it's undefeated. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. And the beautiful thing, it doesn't care about talent. It doesn't care about luck. It doesn't even care where you started. You can build it, brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day. Discipline is the skill that unlocks every other skill. You want to be creative? Build discipline. You want to get strong? Build discipline. You want to grow a business, write a book, lead a team, build a life worth living? Discipline is the gateway. Because when you have it, you don't need motivation. You don't need hype. You don't need to be in the mood. You just execute. You become a weapon. Predictable, precise, relentless. And here's the secret most never learn. Discipline gives you freedom, not restriction, not misery. Freedom. Because when you're disciplined, you're in control of your choices, of your schedule, of your outcomes. You don't get tossed around by moods. You don't let distractions decide your future. You don't wait to feel ready. You move. That's the power. That's what gives you an edge in a world addicted to comfort. And yes, it's hard. At first, because you're fighting decades of habits, patterns, conditioning. But every time you choose discipline, you make that muscle stronger. And it pays off. In confidence. In results. In momentum. Discipline is the shortcut because it removes the decision-making fatigue. You don't wake up and wonder what to do. You already know. You've set the standard. And the standard runs the show. So here's your challenge. Choose one thing today and lock it in. Make it non-negotiable. Small, simple, but real. Show yourself what's possible when you don't give yourself a way out. That's how you level up. Not with more hacks, with more follow-through. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not something you wake up with one day. It's earned, in the dirt, in the dark, in the doing. You don't get it from compliments. You don't get it from likes, followers, or applause. You get it from the moments no one sees, when you keep your word to yourself. You say you'll wake up early, and you do. You say you'll eat clean, and you follow through. You say you'll show up, do the work, keep going, and you actually do it. That's confidence. Built, not gifted. Most people get it backward. They think they need confidence before they take action. But it's the other way around. Action creates confidence. Every time you do what you said you would do, even if it's tiny, you're stacking proof. You're building evidence. You're teaching your mind, I can trust me. And that's the key. Self-trust. The foundation of real, unshakable confidence. Not the loud, fake kind. Not arrogance. But the quiet, solid kind. The kind that doesn't flinch under pressure. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. You want that? Earn it. Start today. Make one small promise and keep it. Then do it again tomorrow and the next day. Stack those wins like bricks. They'll hold you up when doubt comes knocking. And it will come. It always does. That voice will whisper, "You're not enough." But now, you've got receipts. You've got days, weeks, months of follow-through to silence that voice. Confidence isn't found. It's forged. In the small, private, disciplined moments where you show yourself what you're capable of. That's what creates the edge. Not talent, not hype, not hope, execution. So stop waiting to feel confident. Act like the person you want to become now. Move like them. Decide like them. Work like them. Eventually the confidence will catch up, because it's not something you chase. It's something you build. You want to know why so many people stay stuck. They compare. They scroll. They measure themselves against everyone else's highlight reel. And the more they compare, the smaller they feel, the less they believe, the less they do. Comparison is a thief. It robs you of energy, clarity, focus. It turns your journey into a scoreboard, and you start living to catch up, instead of build something real. But here's the shift. You are your own competition, your own measure, your own benchmark. Not the influencers, not your peers, not who you should be by now. Just you yesterday versus you today. That's the race. That's the battle that matters. Because here's what happens when you stop chasing someone else's pace. You go deeper. You stop rushing. You start listening to your timing, your gut, your goals. You begin to trust that your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's to be valid. You understand that progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it's quiet, internal, invisible to the world but loud in your soul. And that's enough. That's more than enough. You don't need more comparison. You need more commitment to your vision, to your work, to your values. So here's the new standard. Did I show up today? Did I push my edge? Even just a little? Did I honor the effort, even if no one saw it? That's how you measure a life. Not by how it looks, but by what it builds. The real prize. Becoming the person who doesn't need external validation to feel worthy. Who doesn't shift with the trends. Who doesn't flinch when others rise because they're too busy rising too. So take your eyes off the scoreboard. Turn them inward. Be your own standard. Be your own proof. Be your own fire. And let that guide every next step. That's not ego. That's ownership. Because when you live like that, you don't chase power. You become it. Chapter 6. Choose your hard. Comfort has a cost. It feels easy in the moment, but it charges interest. It's silent, slow, subtle, and one day you wake up and wonder where the time went. Because here's the truth. Nobody wants to say, every path is hard. Growth is hard. Discipline is hard. Risk is hard. But so is regret. So is stagnation. So is waking up at 40, realizing you played small when you could have gone all in. So you get to choose your hard. The hard that builds, or the hard that breaks. You can choose the discomfort of the gym, or the discomfort of feeling weak. You can choose the pain of having tough conversations, or the pain of pretending everything's fine. You can choose the friction of showing up every day, or the friction of knowing you could have been better, but didn't try. Growth is voluntary pain, and that's what makes it powerful. You choose to lean into the resistance. You choose to face the mirror. You choose the climb. That choice rewires you. It sharpens your mind. It quiets your excuses. It turns you into someone that your old self wouldn't even recognize. But you don't get there by accident. You get there by making a decision. Daily. You say, this will be uncomfortable, but I'll do it anyway. And then you follow through. You want to win. Get good at being uncomfortable. Not in a toxic push-till-you-break way. In a deliberate, consistent, I'm choosing this pain for a reason kind of way. That's what builds mental strength. Not affirmations. Not vision boards. Not wishing, but work. Hard, focused, deliberate work. So ask yourself today, what discomfort am I avoiding? And what would happen if I stopped avoiding it? The answer will guide you. It'll show you where your next breakthrough lives. And it won't feel safe, but it will feel real, because in the end, it's not about avoiding hard. It's about choosing the kind that turns you into something stronger. Everyone wants the big moment, the breakthrough, the transformation. But the truth, real change doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet, in the repetition, in the grind no one sees. You want to become something powerful, master the mundane, get great at the boring stuff, the early alarm, the healthy meal prep, the writing session when the words won't come, the cold shower, the workout when you feel flat, because that's where greatness is forged, in the places nobody claps for. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency, doing the small things right, every day, even when it feels like nothing's happening. Especially then, because progress doesn't always announce itself. It builds in silence, quietly, relentlessly, until one day, everyone else calls it overnight success. But you'll know it was the 6 a.m. alarm clock, the skip distraction, the unglamorous choice to stay focused when it was easier to drift. You don't need new goals. You need new habits. You need to fall in love with the process. That's the magic. You want freedom. It comes from routine, from structure, from discipline. It doesn't trap you. It liberates you. Because when the basics are automatic, your mind is free to create, to lead, to thrive. So stop chasing hype. Stop looking for the next big thing, the next hack, the next viral idea. Start doubling down on the fundamentals. Most people quit because they get bored. But the pros, they get bored and keep going. That's the edge. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So build them, refine them, protect them. Because when life gets chaotic, and it will, your habits are your anchor. And if they're strong, so are you. Most people chase outcomes. They want the body, the business, the income, the reputation. And that's fine at first. But it doesn't last. Why? Because outcomes don't stick unless the identity behind them changes. Anyone can lose 10 pounds. But can you become someone who lives like a healthy person? Anyone can start a business. But can you become someone who thinks, moves, and leads like an entrepreneur? Anyone can have a productive week. But can you become someone who is productive, even when the mood fades? That's the difference. You're not just chasing a result. You're building a version of you who earns it naturally. And here's the kicker. Identity is built through repetition, not declarations, not affirmations, not visualizations. Repetition, consistent behavior, daily action, habit after habit, stacked with intention. Every time you do the thing, even in a small way, you cast a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Each workout is a vote, each deep focus session, each time you say no to distraction. It adds up. Eventually you don't just do disciplined things. You are disciplined. You don't just act like a leader. You are a leader. You don't just practice grit. You become someone who's unshakable. And that version of you, they don't need motivation. They don't need external pressure. They move because it's who they are. So if you want lasting change, zoom out. Don't ask, what do I want to achieve? Ask, who do I want to become? And then reverse engineer your life to support that answer. Let your habits reflect your future, not your past. Let your schedule reflect your standards, not your circumstances. Let your choices reflect your identity, not your insecurity. Because if you're always chasing goals without building the person who can sustain them, you'll burn out. But if you build the identity first, the results become inevitable, not because they're easy, but because they're aligned. And that alignment, that's power. That's peace. That's progress that sticks. Chapter 7. Control the controllables. There's a lot in life you can't control: the market, the weather, the economy, other people. But what if I told you that doesn't matter? That the people who win aren't the ones with perfect circumstances. They're the ones who master what's in their hands. Control the controllables. That's the code. Because when you waste energy on what you can't control, you drain your power. You get frustrated, distracted, reactive. But when you take full ownership of what you can control, you become dangerous. You stop being a victim and start being a weapon. What can you control? Your effort, your mindset, your attitude, your words, your response to challenge, your daily habits. That's it, and that's enough. You can't control if it rains, but you can pack a jacket. You can't control someone else's opinion, but you can control how much weight you give it. You can't control what happened yesterday, but you control how you show up today. Winners don't get caught up in noise. They keep their eyes on the levers they can actually pull. They don't complain. They don't blame. They adapt. They shift. They lead. And you know what happens when you do that. Day after day, you build resilience. You build reliability. You become someone people count on, because you're not fragile. You're not waiting on the perfect external condition. You create internal certainty. That's how momentum starts. That's how peace grows. That's how success compounds. Not from control over everything, but from mastery over something. So next time chaos comes, and it will, ask yourself, what's still in my control? Then own it. All of it. Fully. And watch how fast your life changes. Mental strength isn't just about discipline. It's about emotional control. It's about holding your center when everything around you starts spinning. Life will hit you. It'll test your patience, push your buttons, throw shade and storms. And if you don't have emotional endurance, you'll react, you'll snap, you'll sabotage. But if you do have it, if you can stay calm, steady, focused, you win. You make decisions from power, not panic. You lead yourself instead of being led by chaos. Let's be real. Most people let their emotions run their day. They wake up tired, so they skip the workout. They feel insecure, so they scroll social media to numb the discomfort. They get overwhelmed, so they avoid the hard thing. It's not that they're lazy, it's that they've never trained emotional stamina. And that's what this is about. Training your emotions, not suppressing them, not pretending, but learning how to feel everything without letting it control you. You feel doubt, cool. You move anyway. You feel fear, good. You take the step. You feel tired, honor it, but don't bow to it. Emotional endurance is the ability to stay steady under pressure. It's how you stay focused when the distractions scream. It's how you stay kind when you're frustrated. It's how you keep your word when every excuse shows up with a perfect reason. And no, it's not easy, but it's worth it. Because when you build this, you stop reacting. You start responding. You act with intention, not emotion. And that makes you different. It makes you dangerous in the best way. So here's the practice. When it gets hard, breathe. When it gets heavy, pause. When emotions rise, let them pass, but don't hand them the steering wheel. You're allowed to feel. You're not allowed to quit. That's emotional strength. That's endurance. That's leadership over your inner world. And once you master that, the outer world has no power over you. There's a moment in every journey when quitting feels easier than continuing, when the progress feels slow, when the rewards feel far, when the work feels heavy. That's the moment that separates the committed from the casual. That's the moment that defines who keeps climbing and who folds. Because the truth is, it's not the beginning that breaks people. It's the middle, that gray zone between excitement and achievement, that messy space where it's not new anymore, and it's not done either. That's where the real fight happens. And if you can learn to stay there, to sit in the struggle, to keep swinging when there's no applause, to dig deeper when your mind screams, enough, that's where you transform. Not because it's comfortable, but because it requires something deeper. And that depth, that's what most people never find because they tap out too soon. They back off when it gets real. They trade progress for temporary peace. But not you. Not now. You've come too far to turn soft. You've put in too many reps to start second-guessing. You've got too much potential left to let fatigue make your decisions. So lean in, not blindly, not recklessly, but fully. Know that every second you endure, every time you keep going when it would have been easier to quit, you're building something no one can take from you. Grit, character, edge. You're becoming the kind of person who finishes things, who follows through, who doesn't need hype, just heart. This is the work. This is the climb. This is the part they don't post about. But if you can stay in it, if you can weather the doubts, push through the fog, and still take one more step, you don't just survive it, you own it. And one day you'll look back at this moment, not as the time you almost quit, but as the time you didn't. And that. Chapter 8. Energy is the asset. Everyone talks about time. Manage your time. Guard your calendar. But time is useless if your energy is trash. You don't need more hours in the day. You need the energy to use the hours you already have. Because energy, that's the real asset. It's what determines the quality of your decisions, the depth of your focus, the strength of your discipline, the fire behind your execution. Without energy, your vision fades, your consistency slips, your standards drop. So if you want to level up your life, start here. Protect your energy like your future depends on it. Because it does. Ask yourself, what drains me? What fuels me? And answer honestly. You know what gives you momentum. You know what steals it. But too often, you tolerate the drainers. You convince yourself they're normal, acceptable, unavoidable. They're not. It could be poor sleep, a toxic friend, junk food, endless scrolling, disorganized routines. All of it matters. None of it is neutral. Everything you consume, food, media, conversations, either charges you or depletes you. Start auditing your life, like an athlete. You don't need perfection. You need awareness. And once you have that, you make the shifts. You set boundaries. You upgrade your sleep. You hydrate. You walk. You fuel your body with purpose, not impulse. And no, it won't feel magical at first. You'll resist. But on the other side of that resistance is clarity, strength, drive. Because when your energy is high, you move different. You think sharper. You bounce back faster. You lead instead of just respond. This is the advantage most overlook. Not more willpower, more energy, by design, not default. You don't need to burn out to be successful. You need to sustain. You need to last. You need to build a life that supports the ambition you're chasing. So from this moment forward, ask yourself daily, is this a deposit or a withdrawal? And act accordingly. You're not a machine. You're not meant to go non-stop, all day, every day. You're built to push, and then recover. Push, recover, push again. That's the rhythm of real growth. Not constant grind. Strategic recovery. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. A blinking red light that says, you're breaking your own system. And here's the paradox. Most people miss. If you want to go harder, You have to learn how to rest smarter. Because recovery is where the gains happen. That's where your mind resets. Your body repairs. Your focus refuels. Your creativity rebounds. No recovery. No edge. This doesn't mean you sit around doing nothing. It means you build rest into the system. Intentionally. Intelligently. Rest doesn't mean laziness. It means putting energy back into the tank, so you can hit harder next time. So how do you recover like a pro? Sleep like it's a performance drug, because it is. Hydrate like it's part of your plan, because it is. Breathe deep. Walk daily. Move your body outside of effort. Log off. Shut down. Disconnect. Let your mind be bored enough to reset. And here's a big one. Let go of guilt. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to unplug without apologizing. Because protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's smart. It's how you stay in the game long enough to win. And the truth is, recovery isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's how you come back sharper, calmer, more dangerous than ever. You don't need to earn your rest. You need to respect it. Because when you do, you stop operating from depletion. You start operating from strength. And everything improves. Your work, your relationships, your mindset, your results. So remember, the grind will always be there, but your edge won't, unless you protect it. Recover like a pro. Refuel like a warrior. Rest with intention. Then get back to it, stronger than before. There's a lie that ruins more progress than failure ever will. That you need to go all in all the time. That success requires non-stop intensity. It doesn't. It requires momentum. Intensity burns hot, and then burns out. Momentum compounds. It carries you forward, even on hard days. It's built by showing up consistently, by making small, meaningful moves, even when they're not impressive, especially when they're not impressive. Because here's the truth. The person who walks 1 mile a day will outpace the one who sprints once a month. The writer who puts down 100 words every morning will finish their book long before the one who waits for inspiration. This is the power of momentum. It's quiet. It's steady. It's undeniable. But to build it, you have to drop the ego. You have to stop needing every day to be epic. You have to stop waiting for perfect energy, perfect conditions, perfect headspace. You don't need perfect. You need forward. One step, one decision, one win. Momentum is built on follow-through, not fireworks. It's what turns action into identity. It's what helps you string together days, then weeks, then a lifestyle. So ask yourself, what's the smallest thing I can do today that pushes me forward? Then do it, without excuses, without delay. Stack that win. Then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Over time, those small wins add up. They shape your character. They shift your default mode from drifting to driving, from hesitation to execution. And the best part, once you have momentum, everything gets easier. Decisions get clearer. Habits get smoother. Discipline becomes your baseline, not your struggle. So stop chasing intensity. Start building momentum, and trust that those small steps, they lead somewhere massive. Not someday, but now, day. Chapter 9. Identity before outcome. Before you achieve it, you become it. Before the success shows up on the outside, it starts inside. That's the game most people never play. They chase results without shifting their identity. But here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of who you believe you are. So if deep down, you still see yourself as inconsistent, you'll self-sabotage. If you still think you're unworthy, you'll block the wins. If you still define yourself by who you were, you'll never create who you're becoming. That's why identity comes first. You want to get in shape. Don't just chase a number. Become the kind of person who trains like it's part of their DNA. You want to become a writer. Don't just talk about publishing. See yourself as a creator who writes no matter what. You want to level up financially. Stop playing broke. Act like someone who respects their money, their value, their growth. This is the shift. Not what do I need to get, but who do I need to become to deserve it? And becoming that version of you, it starts now. Not after the goal. Not when things are perfect. Right now. How do they walk? How do they speak? What time do they wake up? What do they tolerate? What do they no longer accept? Start moving like them. Start deciding like them. Start protecting your time like them. Because when your actions align with your future identity, results follow. It's not magic. It's alignment. And alignment is power. So today, instead of just setting a goal, set a standard. Instead of just chasing the win, embody the person who earns it. You're not waiting for permission to transform. You're claiming it, one choice at a time. This isn't about faking it. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about acting as if, until the behavior becomes the belief. You want to become confident. Start acting like someone who respects their own voice. Speak with certainty, even when you're scared. Stand tall, even when your thoughts shake. You want to be a leader. Start moving like someone who takes responsibility. Own your space. Own your energy. Own your decisions, even the hard ones. Because identity isn't just discovered, it's designed. And that design comes from action. Not once, every day. Deliberate, specific, repetitive. You don't wake up one day and suddenly believe you're capable. You build that belief in the trenches by showing up one move at a time. This is about alignment. Acting like the future version of you now. Not in some fake forced way, but in a way that says, I know where I'm headed. And this is how that version of me behaves. You shift your posture. You shift your tone. You shift your habits. You no longer ask, what should I do today? You ask, what would they do today? Then you do it. And every time you do, you're closing the gap. Between now and next. Between doubt and confidence. Between potential and power. Because the world doesn't respond to what you say you are. It responds to how you show up. And when your actions align with your vision, momentum takes over. So stop waiting to feel worthy. Act like someone who is. Stop waiting to be qualified. Act like someone who's committed to becoming so. Stop waiting to believe. Behave like belief already lives in your bones. And one day you'll wake up and realize you're not acting anymore. You've become. Every result you've ever created came from a belief. And every belief comes from a story. That voice in your head. It's not just commentary. It's a script. One that's been playing on repeat for years. And unless you update it, it becomes your ceiling. So here's the question. What story are you telling yourself? I'm not consistent. I've never been disciplined. I always mess things up. I'm just not that type of person. Sound familiar? They feel like facts, but they're just unquestioned narratives. Old code, written by fear, reinforced by inaction. And the longer you repeat them, the deeper they wire in. The more they feel permanent. But they're not. They can be reprogrammed, rewritten, rebuilt. It starts with awareness. Catch the story. Call it out. Challenge it. Is it true? Or is it just what you've always believed? Because the most powerful shift you can make isn't just external. It's internal. It's the moment you say, I'm not that person anymore, and then back it up with behavior. You don't wait for your identity to change before you act. You act your way into the new identity, and the story follows. Every time you override that old voice, every time you do what the past version of you wouldn't, you're creating a new narrative, a new script, one where you're not the victim, one where you're not inconsistent, weak or stuck, but relentless, focused, evolving. You write this new story with actions, not affirmations, with follow-through, not fantasy. It doesn't matter how long the old one's been running. It matters that today, you take the pen back and start writing something real. So here's your reminder. You are not your past. You are not your patterns. You are what you decide to do next. Tell a better story. Then prove it with your life. Prove it. Chapter 10. The long game. Here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear this is going to take time. Not because you're slow, not because you're broken, but because real transformation isn't instant. It's not 30 days. It's not a 90-day sprint. It's the rest of your life. And if that sounds heavy, good, it should, because this isn't a project. It's your future. It's your potential. It's your standard from now on. This is the long game. And it's not played with intensity. It's played with intention. You show up today not for the dopamine hit, but for the foundation you're laying. You make the hard choices now because 5 years from now, you'll thank yourself. You stay in the process because quitting isn't an option when growth becomes part of who you are. Most people never get this. They chase speed. They chase shortcuts. They want it now, and when they don't get it, they bounce. But you're different. You know that slow progress is still progress. That every rep counts, that every boring, small, consistent action stacks into something massive. That's how you win the long game. It's not about the highlight reel. It's about what happens in the in-between moments, when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when it's just you, the plan, and the choice. Do I keep going? Do I do what I said I would do? And every time the answer is yes, you grow, not just in results, but in identity, in belief, in power. This is the path of the few, because it's not glamorous, it's not loud, it's disciplined, focused, patient, but when it works, and it will work, it lasts. So if you're tired of starting over, if you're ready to stop living on the edge of potential, decide right now. You're not playing for the weekend. You're not playing for the dopamine. You're playing for legacy. And that takes time, takes grit, takes belief that outlives your moods. This is your reminder. You're in it for the long game. And the long game always wins. Starting is easy. Everyone starts. That first burst of motivation, the rush of a new idea, the energy of possibility. It's addicting, but finishing, that's rare, because finishing takes endurance. It takes grit when the dopamine dies. It takes clarity when the fog rolls in. It takes conviction when the shine wears off. This chapter is for the version of you who's almost there, the one who's been working, grinding, stacking wins, silently, daily. And maybe you're not seeing the full reward yet. Maybe it's slower than you wanted. But hear this, you're closer than you think. Most people quit at 90%. They tap out when it gets quiet. They back off right before the shift happens. Not because they weren't capable, but because they got bored. Because they forgot why they started. You can't afford to forget. Not now. You didn't come this far to almost change. You didn't put in this work to leave the masterpiece unfinished. You're not the version of yourself that quits. Not anymore. So when it gets heavy, lean in. When it gets quiet, dig deeper. When doubt creeps in, remember the receipts. The mornings you showed up, the reps you pushed through, the days you wanted to quit and didn't. That's your proof. You've already changed. You've already built something. Now it's about seeing it through. This is the moment most people turn back. But you go forward. Not with hype, not with noise, but with calm, quiet certainty. That's what finishers are made of. So don't slow down now. Don't wait for the final push to feel easier. Make it count. Close the loop. Keep the promise. Prove to yourself, once and for all, that you finish what you start. That's who you are now. You made it to the end. But this isn't a finish line. It's a checkpoint. Because self-improvement isn't a goal you hit. It's a way of living. A decision you make, day after day, to keep getting better. Not just once. Not just when it's convenient. Always. The version of you that started this journey. They're gone. You've outgrown them. Step by step. Word by word. Choice by choice. But here's what matters now. What you do next. You can let this be inspiration. A spark. A moment that feels good, but fades. Or you can let this be a pivot. The exact moment you stopped waiting and started leading your life with intention. You now have the tools, the clarity, the edge. You've faced hard truths. You've practiced discipline. You've earned self-respect. And you've proven without a doubt that you have what it takes to evolve. So where do you go from here? You keep showing up. You keep doing the work. You keep asking better questions, choosing higher standards, and leading with purpose. And when you fall, and you will, you rise. Faster, stronger. Because now you know who you are. Not perfect, but in progress. Not fearless, but relentless. You've built a foundation most people never touch. Discipline, clarity, ownership, identity. That's the core. That's your power. And no one can take that from you. So leave this final chapter with fire in your chest. Not hype, but commitment. Not noise, but resolve. Because you're not done. You're just getting started. And from this moment forward, everything changes. Conclusion. Own your evolution. You've just walked through 10 chapters of truth, strategy, and raw accountability. No fluff. No gimmicks. Just the real work, delivered in a way that demands you rise to your own potential. But now the question is simple. What will you do with it? Knowledge is nothing without movement. Inspiration fades. Execution sticks. The person you were when you started this audiobook is already behind you. You've upgraded how you think, how you see yourself, and what you expect from your life. That's not a small shift. That's a new direction, and now it's yours to live. Let this be more than an audiobook you finished. Let it be a new standard you set. Let it be the moment you stopped negotiating with comfort and started owning your evolution. Yes, you'll still fall. Yes, you'll still have days where the fire fades. But now you've got the tools to stand back up. Stronger, clearer, faster. You've built the mindset. Now, build the life. Stay consistent, stay committed. And never forget the most powerful thing you can do for your future is to keep showing up for it today. You're not finished. You're just getting started. And this time, it's real. If you found this content enriching and valuable, we would be deeply grateful if you could express your appreciation through liking and subscribing. Your support is incredibly meaningful and enables us to continue creating content that resonates with you. For those who think this is a great gift for yourself or for your loved ones, you can find the link in the description.